Hello everyone, my name is Professor Umesh Kale from Angadi College of Commerce and Science, and I am here to present a session on economics, money and credit. So let us understand the objectives of today's session. The objectives are to understand the importance, evolution and functions of money, then to understand the importance of banks, then to understand the functions of central bank, that is Reserve Bank of India in our country, then to understand the concepts of money supply and its measurement, and finally to understand credit control measures which are very important and which are adopted by the Reserve Bank of India. So let us start by understanding the meaning of money. So meaning is a very important discovery which has happened in the civilization. If we see the important discoveries which have happened in our civilizations like fire, wheel, money, these discoveries have actually changed the way we used to live our life. So it was one of the very important discoveries which mankind has made. So what is money? Money is anything which is usually accepted by the people during exchange of goods and services while buying goods and services. Then let us understand the evolution of money, how the money has evolved. So the money evolved in the earlier stage with barter system. This was a system wherein which people used to exchange goods for goods. For an example, if there was a farmer who used to grow rice and say he wanted clothes, so he would exchange his rice for clothes. So like that, goods were exchanged for goods. So that is how the evolution of money has, the trade has started. Then slowly there were certain disadvantages, certain many difficulties which people used to face in this barter system. So then slowly it has evolved. Then certain commodities were fixed as terms of money, wherein these certain commodities, not all commodities but certain commodities, were used like money. For an example, cattle was used in Greece as money, then sheep was used in Rome as money. Means people accepted those commodities, those certain commodities as money. Then teeth was used in China. So however, commodity money also was not able to solve the problems, the difficulties which were there in barter system. Then slowly the world moved to metallic money. Metallic money means people started using metals as money. So this is very much known by everyone that gold, silver, bronze and etc. coins made up of these metals were used as money during early civilization days. But metallic money also had its own disadvantages, wherein carrying of metallic money was very difficult because it had a lot of weight. So carrying and storage was a very big problem which people used to face. Then slowly the mankind discovered paper money. So paper money is still existing, so still we are using paper money. Then slowly as we moved ahead, as banking system evolved, then we also had different types of money like bank money, like checks, drafts, which we can easily see these days. Checks, demand drafts and all these things are also used uh, similarly like money, similarly like money, wherein if you want to make a payment at certain places, you can even write a check and checks are accepted as good as money. Then again, different type of modern money what we see is plastic money, which we use our ATM cards, debit cards, credit cards. They are also used. It is very common these days. We can see at many stores, at petrol pumps, people swipe their, they use their plastic ATM cards to make the respective payments. So this is how the money has evolved. This is how money has evolved, and why it has evolved is because whenever we saw certain disadvantages in the earlier type of money, those disadvantages and defects were covered in the next coming types of money. Then next, then let us understand what are the functions of money. Now this is very important. You will also get questions on this particular topic. Functions of money, very important. Now primary or main functions of money. There are two main functions or primary functions of money. One is medium of exchange or means of payment. Means what? Now the main function of money is to help people to exchange or buy goods and services, because if you walk down to any store or any place, if you want to buy anything, for example, if you want to buy food at the restaurants, if you want to buy petrol at petrol pumps, if you want to buy clothes, if you want to buy watch, at any such place, if you go, at any such shop if you go, and if you tender money for wishing to buy those goods, money is easily accepted by everyone. No one will say no, you cannot pay us money for buying these goods and services. Easily people will accept money, because that is the common accepted means of exchange. So medium of exchange is very important function of money. Then the next function of money is measure of value. Now this is also very important. Now see, earlier days when barter system was there, when commodity system was there, it was very difficult to measure the worth of respective goods. For an example, if you want to buy a watch or a shirt, and if we go there with a bag of rice or with clothes, it is very difficult that how much of rice has to be given or how many bags of rice has to be paid for buying one watch. So that was very difficult to measure the value of goods. But when we invented money, the problem was solved, because you see exactly the terms, the cost and the price can be calculated in terms of money. We can exactly calculate the price of a mobile phone, of a watch or of a clothes when we want to calculate it in terms of money, right? So the measurement, the measure of value is very important function, because we can exactly determine the price of a good. So that was one very situation which people used to face a lot of difficulties. So that problem was solved with the invention of money. Then the secondary functions, these are the primary two functions. Then what are the other secondary functions? We'll see. Standard of deferred payments. Standard of deferred payments means, now see, I will tell you this with an example. With invention of money, payment in future time was possible, or payment in future time was possible. Now for an example, if you are a farmer and if you are growing tomatoes, why I am taking this specific example is because tomatoes are very what you say, they will stay only for 2 to 3 days. They are not durable. Easily they are perishable. Yeah, that is the word. They are perishable goods. So in 3 to 4 days or maximum in 1 week, those tomatoes will start rotting. So you cannot store, you cannot keep the goods for future payments. But if you have money, if you are storing your wealth in terms of money, then future payments are possible. Future payments are possible. So that is another problem which is solved. Then store of value means what? Now you can see that in olden days it was very difficult to store the wealth whatever you have accumulated in your lifetime. But now we can easily store our wealth, whatever we are earning in our life, that money can be stored in banks in terms of money. It can be stored for your entire life, and even after your life you can transfer that wealth to your next generation. So this particular thing was possible with the invention of money. Then transfer of value. Again, the transfer of value, as I told you, some of these points, they overlap each other. So transfer of value means, as I told you, the wealth and the value, the money, whatever you have accumulated in your life can be transferred to your next generation. So it was not possible earlier, because there was no money. Whatever you were earning, that had to be used or consumed during the same time. So storing a wealth was very difficult, but the invention of money has in fact solved the problem. Now it is because of money it is possible for us to store the wealth, transfer the wealth to whomsoever we want to transfer it. So these are the functions of money. Now the next thing what I want to explain you guys, which is again very important, is the Reserve Bank of India. See, every country has got a central bank, okay, which acts like a main bank in that country, or which is the epic, the main bank in that country. In our country, we call the central bank as Reserve Bank of India, who acts like a main ruling body for all the banks which are present in the country. So Reserve Bank of India is the central bank in India. Of course, I told you that it was established in 1st April 1935. Okay, so it was well established before independence, and it was nationalized on 1st January 1949. Okay, so it was nationalized on 1st January 1949. So what are the functions of RBI? Okay, what is the work of RBI? So what it does, first of all, the main function of RBI is monopoly of note issue, right? See, whatever currency notes, okay, whatever currency notes what we have, uh, all the notes are printed by Reserve Bank of India. No other bank in the country has got the permission to print the notes. Only Reserve Bank of India, that is the RBI, is the only bank which has got the permission to print the currency notes. No other bank can print the notes. Okay, so printing of note is one of the major functions of RBI. Then it acts as a banker to the government. Now you see, we all have bank accounts. Okay, you might be holding a bank account in Syndicate Bank or Canara Bank, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, and these banks, they give you checkbooks, ATM cards. So wherever you go, you make the payments using checks, using those ATM cards. So what you are doing, whenever you are writing a check and you are giving it to the seller, you are indirectly asking your bank to make the payment to that particular seller, right? So how we do banking transactions, trade transactions, similarly government also buys and sells so many things. So who is the bank to the government then? So RBI acts as a banker to the government. So RBI is the bank of the government. So when government buys and sells things, it does all those trade activities through RBI, through Reserve Bank. So it acts as a banker to the government. Then it is bankers bank. Bankers bank means, now the other banks which are there in our country, like Syndicate Bank, Canara Bank, HDFC, ICICI, there are so many banks. So all these banks also need one particular bank wherein they can deposit their excess cash, right? Because they cannot by rule of RBI, they cannot hold all the cash with themselves. They need to deposit certain amount of bank with RBI. So where all these banks are depositing their money, the money whatever they have, they are also depositing with the RBI. So RBI in fact is the bank for all the banks. So it is called as bankers bank. Then National Clearing House. Now this is another very important function which RBI performs. Whenever there are online transactions, RBI clears it whenever, because the request goes to RBI, then RBI clears all the payments. So it verifies and clears. So that is very one important function which it performs. Then controller of credit. Now credit is very important, right? Because if excess credit is allowed in the economy, then what will happen? There are many things which will go wrong, right? That is altogether a different topic. So credit has to be controlled. Now you see, sometimes I'll tell you this. There are sometimes what will happen, you know, the percentage of the interest percentage on loans, sometimes it will go down, it will reduce, and sometimes it will increase. So why it is happening is because RBI is doing it. Sometimes government wants people to buy loan, they will make the loan cheaper. Sometimes they will increase the interest rate, and that is how credit creation is controlled. So how much of loan has to be given by all the banks in the economy, that is controlled by RBI. Okay, that is another important function which it performs. Then custodian of foreign exchange reserves. Now RBI acts as a custodian, okay, who holds the foreign exchange reserves. Means what? Now say, now these days if you see, it is a globalized era wherein all the countries are trading with other countries. So India is trading with US, India is trading with Australia, India is trading with Germany, India is trading with Brazil, India is trading with France. There are with so many countries we are trading. So whenever we are trading with different countries, when we are buying or selling something with those different countries, we need to make payments in those countries' currencies, right? So we cannot pay only in Indian rupees to other countries when we are buying from those countries. We need to pay in those countries' currency from whom we are buying. So in international trade, there is a concept of foreign exchange wherein we have to convert our Indian rupees into foreign currency. So that foreign currency which comes in and goes out, okay, that is also monitored, okay, and monitored and overlooked by RBI. So this is also very important function which it performs. Then promotion of banking habits. Now this is also very important. Now RBI wants all the people to have bank accounts. They want people to, develop banking habits, because when we have banking habits, indirectly we will start saving money. Okay, so saving of money is another important social objective which government wants to inculcate in people, because when people save money, that money can be used by people in their difficult times. Okay, and they need not go for loans. So that is one savings habit which RBI and the government wants to inculcate in people. So promotion of banking habits is another important function of RBI. Then another important thing which RBI does is credit control measures. Now what are these? There are certain things which have to be controlled in the economy. Okay, otherwise many things will go wrong. So what are these credit control measures? Quantitative credit control measures. Now there are qualitative and quantitative credit control measures which are controlled by RBI, which are seen overlooked by RBI. So one is what? One is bank rate policy. The bank rate is the rate at which RBI lends funds to banks. Now bank rate policy means what? See now, you can see the interest on savings account, the interest on recurring deposit account, the interest on fixed deposit account, okay, is changed from time to time. Even the interest rate on loans is changed from time to time. The interest rate on vehicle loan, the interest rate on housing loan, the interest rate on personal loan is changed time to time. So government, what RBI will do is, whenever it wants to give loans to people, whenever it wants to increase the money supply in the country, it will reduce the interest rate. And whenever they want to reduce the money supply, they will increase the interest rate. So that is how they change the bank rate policy. So sometimes it is reduced, sometimes it is increased. When it is increased, it means that they want to discourage the people from buying loans. And when it is decreased, it means the bank wants to, RBI wants to encourage people. Okay, they want to encourage people to take loan and to do investment, to start businesses. Okay, so that is how RBI changes the bank rate policy from time to time. Then what are open market operations? Now open market operations are also type of credit control measures, wherein if they want to increase the money supply or decrease the money supply, they will use these open market operations, wherein you might have seen in newspaper that RBI issues bonds, 10-year bonds, 5-year bonds. So when people will buy those bonds, they are paying money to RBI. So it means the money is going from people's pocket to the government, to the RBI. So the money supply is reduced with people. So when the RBI wants to reduce the money supply, they will sell the bonds, they will give away the bonds, okay, and they will take the cash for those bonds. And when they want to increase the money supply, they will ask their bonds back and they will return the money along with the interest. That is how the money supply is again increased in the economy. Okay, the next is varying reserve requirements like CRR and SLR. Now there are different another type of measures which RBI uses is credit control ratio, in which cash reserve ratio, wherein RBI will ask all the banks to maintain certain cash with themselves and not to lend entire cash to the people. Okay, so not to make all the cash whatever they have in terms of loan, in terms of advances, but to hold the certain cash, because if they lend all the money in terms of loan, then it will become difficult for the banks to manage their day-to-day activities. When people will go to ATMs, they need they want to withdraw cash. So at certain times these banks should not fall short of cash. So as per RBI rule, cash reserve ratio has to be maintained by all the banks. That is how the credit is controlled by banks. Similarly, the another ratio is SLR, statutory liquidity ratio, wherein in which banks also invest their excess cash in terms of land, stock market, insurance, and all those things they invest it. So they have to maintain a percentage of cash in liquid state, because whenever people go for demanding money, bank should be in a position to pay them the cash. Okay, so these are the different credit control measures. Then there are qualitative credit control measures. Qualitative are less restrictive, are not, they are indirect measures. Change in lending margins. Okay, so they change the margin rates, okay, of lending. Then ceiling on credit or credit rationing they will do. They will put ceiling on credit, means what? Every bank can give only, say for example, 50 home loans in one particular month. Like that they will put a ceiling. Then moral suasion means morally they will ask the banks that, see that in this particular quarter or this particular month, don't give more of credits. Just simply one word of, one word they will pass. Otherwise sometimes they can also take direct action on banks. If particular banks are not following the guidelines, then they might, RBI has got the power to take direct action. Okay, so this is what I wanted to cover for this particular chapter. I hope most of the things we have covered and most of the things are clear in your mind right now. Okay, so thank you once again. Thank you very much.